The Chiefs lose Rasheed Rice to suspension, but they have a plan, and everything turns to focus on two things for the Los Angeles Chargers.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome in, Chiefs Kingdom. This is Locked On Chiefs, your daily podcast on your favorite team, your team every single day for the Kansas City Chiefs. Welcome in, and thank you, everydayers. You guys already know this, but if you're here every day and you're an everydayer, one of our locos, we appreciate you. Couldn't do it without you, and that means that you subscribe. You do the whole 9 yards, and you even get in on the text line at 816-357-8781. We appreciate you, and we have a ton to go over. If you don't know me, I'm Ryan Tracy. Been running this show for 9 years together with Chris Clark, who's on vacation today, but we have been covering it since the Andy Reid regime took over, and it's quite a regime. Today, they are faced with one of their bigger challenges. Rasheed Rice is on suspension. We're going to hit that first. Then we'll get to what the plan is that has to come together and what the focus is for the Los Angeles Chargers, because that is first up. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for everything. Check out our sponsors today, because everything goes into everything for everyone. We very much appreciate Game Time being our sponsor today. At Game Time, this episode is brought by them, and you can just download the Game Time app, create your account, and use the code LOCKDOWNNFL for $20 off of your first purchase. You can get it after it right now. There's lots to cover here, and I'm intrigued by this because this was clearly something that the organization was prepared for. Rasheed Rice, if you missed my live piece, the short from last night, got the 6-game suspension. We theorized that was coming. That was my guess from the beginning. If you were with us over the summer, I can't say after all the hoopla about reports at certain news organizations claiming that the NFL was going to get 10 games and the NFLPA wanted 2, and they meet somewhere in the middle. It is going to be 6 games. The problem is the Chiefs missed out on something that's going to be a problem in that they won't have him for the Los Angeles Chargers. In fact, Rasheed Rice is already not practicing. It has been designated, and he will not practice for the next 7 weeks here, as we get one before the first preseason game, first regular season game, and then the weeks that go into all that preparation. So it's already hit. And what that means is that they have to start to tweak. They've done a very good job through the preseason, checking out every bit of talent that they have available to them, really making sure that they emphasize trying things like putting Jason Brownlee with the ones, getting that back shoulder touchdown in the preseason. That was to try things out. Nico Remigio got some snaps with the ones last preseason game, in preseason game number 3. Again, trying to get that chemistry going, understanding that this was always a possibility. Now, is it what they wanted? No, but they've started to prep for it. Obviously, when you have Hollywood Browning, you're kind of protecting him because of the injury history. It makes sense. Xavier Worthy's looked fine when he's been out there, but it hasn't been a lot of targets, hasn't been a lot of reps for him, because you're saving him for the Los Angeles Chargers, because he and Hollywood are going to be the passing, at least on the outside, focuses. Now, Travis Kelce has, I think, looked in terribly good shape, and I think that they've gone a little bit light on his reps in order, again, to prepare for this. So they've done what they can, but the focus for the team has been try and help the process with the NFLPA to not have to play without Rasheed Rice in week 1. Well, that's a disappointment, and that impact kind of trickles down. It does mean that you have to go to your plan B, possibly your plan C now, if you're Andy Reid and Matt Nagy, but it's definitely something that can be overcome. There's going to be a way for compensating for it. I'm going to tell you what that is here coming up later in the show. But I think the more important thing is that this was something you could prepare for. And when we saw the cutdowns, and we saw that there were 8 wide receivers on the initial 53, it threw up all kinds of warning signs all around the league, and for good reason, because teams just don't do that unless, and this is what I'm theorizing is happening, is the team knew this was coming. They had probably received either a hint or maybe even word that this was most likely the outcome. And whether it was 4 or 6 didn't really matter. Once they knew they wouldn't have Rice for week 1. That's it. So they had to start coming up with other plans. I think the thing that piqued my interest the most is, yes, you're going to have Hollywood, you're going to have Travis, you're going to have Xavier, but that's not it. They want to run 11 personnel. You have to have another wide receiver on the field fairly often. A lot of question marks on cutdown day of whether Juju Smith-Schuster was going to be back out there or not. He was. He wasn't visually there initially, but he is on the roster, and he is probably the next guy in line to kind of stabilize that wide receiver group. That's perfectly fine. He's capable. He looks to be in the best, probably better shape than any season he's been in Kansas City, and probably better than the season that he wasn't in Kansas City, the one interim season. I think that means that he's prepped to take up some of that load. I don't think he has to do it all, though. I think what they've been doing and being cautious has been good over on the other side in trying to rest Jalen Royals, the rookie, who I think has some physicality to him. I wouldn't say that he's the same as Rasheed Rice. He might be Rice light, but I would say that he can take some of those reps as well. Now, they've held him out for a bit, but Andy Reid did say today that he will be available for week 1, and that's exactly what you're looking for. As you look down the depth chart, what you find is that they're probably the primary two to take over some of those snaps. But I think what we saw in the deep ball, specifically to Tyquan Thornton, is something that we are going to see more. And I think that Tyquan is going to be on the field maybe more than people realize as a guy that's slated in to be the 6th or 7th wide receiver on this roster. I don't think that's accurate. I think the rotation is going to be heavy. And that's all an impact of not having Rasheed Rice, who should be your funnel, your go-to guy, somebody that you can throw 10 targets to a game, and he's going to get you 125 yards. He's going to get in the end zone, and that's what you're trying to make up for here, because your job right here is to be the menace, to get back to being the scary offense that they've been in the past. That's just part of the plan, though. It is the impact that forces you to plan B and plan C, but turning the monster loose is what you have to do to get this win. That's part of the plan, and that's next. Hey, Chiefs fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app from the App Store or the Google Play Store right now and start earning cash at the pump right now today. Use my limited time promo Touchdown and get up to an extra 25 cents off per gallon on your first fill up right now. You could make up to $300 a year just by buying the gas that you already have to buy. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can get cash out anytime from your bank account, PayPal, even a gift card, or Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer pass you by. Download the free Upside app right now using a limited time promo code Touchdown for a limited time 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's promo code Touchdown. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering for your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets is a hassle. Between queues, login screens, prices jumping at checkout, it's really frustrating, and that's why I use Game Time, the app that gives you the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered every time at the best price, plus all the fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I pull up Game Time anytime to get a couple of taps. I get amazing deals. I get to see where my seat is. I get to see my favorite NFL games for as low as $100. You can too. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, that's promo code LOCKEDONFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. The season is getting ready to kick off, and we have an important request of you. Locked On wants to hear from you. We put together a survey to learn more about what our listeners want, what your favorite podcast pieces are, what you would like to see, and what you don't. If you can go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey and get started. Everyone who completes the survey will get entered for a chance to win up to one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. just go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can find that link in the show notes below. Thanks for helping us out. Helping us out is exactly what everyone has to do. Everyone on this roster has to pick up the pace. Now, the plan is coming together. Whether they were forewarned or not, the Chiefs knew this was a possibility, and they're prepared for how they were going to deal with Rasheed Rice not being available for week 1. So what did they do? They released Robert Tonyan. They brought him back, put him on the practice squad. He will now elevate to the regular 53 as soon as humanly possible. He will take Rasheed Rice's place. It is a 1-for-1. Now we're down to 7 wide receivers, but you have your tight end 3. We'll see if it stays that way. He could even elevate. We will find out. I think it's very important that part of the plan was executed as well as it was. It takes a couple of things. It takes good planning. This is what I'm referring to as Plan B. Plan Bob is what we're going to call that. And it takes coordinating with the player and having faith in the player to say, hey, we're going to actually cut you loose. And we want you to come back in 24 or 48 hours in order for us to execute all these things and particularly to deal with the Rasheed issue. Now, Robert Tonyan isn't the guy who's been in this team for very long. So he has definitely been adjusting, let's say. And for him to show the faith in that in the team structure itself and the team to show their faith in him, I think that's significant. I think that comes from being a winning culture and a winning team and somewhere players want to be. That's important. That helps the plan come together. Now, that plan includes a lot of pieces, and it does require stepping up from guys like Nico Remigio, like Tyquan Thornton, like Jalen Royals, guys that have been kind of untested in the roles that we're going to have to see the first 6 weeks, including, and most importantly, at least in my mind right now, against the Chargers. Because what this suspension does is it puts the Chargers as the most important game here. Yes, you have a rematch with the Eagles. I think that's more emotional for fans than it is for the team. But it puts Rasheed Rice back by the time they have a second AFC West contest. And that's really critical. So they had to have this plan in place. And that means that they could still deal a wide receiver should they feel like they need to. I think the most obvious option for that would be Jason Brownlee. I don't know if he's going to be active against the Chargers. We'll see. And there is still time to work trades, et cetera, et cetera. We'll see how it all works out. Week 1 may be one thing, and then you get the veterans, all kinds of things that can happen that are specific to being post week 1. So I'm going to call that Plan C. That's coming next. The other important part of putting this plan together and actually getting it to execute is that you have to retain enough talent to set everything else up a little bit when you know that you're not going to be at full strength at the wide receiver position. They've been doing a lot of downfield passing. They've been emphasizing that. You've been hearing the quarterback talk about it. You've been seeing the examples. It comes down to the offensive line in being that rock, that foundation that you can set in order to execute those things. It's one thing to do it in the preseason. It's a whole other thing to do it in the regular season. And I think what they've set themselves up for is that they have not only their 5 starters that they're comfortable with, but they have a number of backups that are versatile. And so they can deal with any injury, any problem that comes up on the offensive line. You can plug guys in. If Kingsley Suamataia does not respond in the regular season as well as he did in preseason game number 3, you have multiple options behind him, including Hunter Norzad, Caliendo. You could even go to a Moore. I don't think any of that's going to be necessary. I thought Kingsley took a step forward, and I think it solidified that front. I think he and Josh Simmons are going to become a really nice duo. It's going to take a little bit. And I think them facing the LA front right away isn't the worst matchup. I'll talk about what I think that matchup needs to look like on the other side of this when we get back. But it has to be the foundation so that you can do the big thing. And that's all moving the whole offense and the whole roster in one direction, all based around this Rasheed Rice issue. And kudos to the wide receivers that are rolling with it, to all the players that have been able to make their adjustments, knowing some guys were cut because of the need to keep players at that position. Some guys had to go on short-term IR, like Brenningstool, who we're all very excited to see. Dan and I, Chris and I, Matt and I, we're all very excited to see Brenningstool when he's healthy. We might call that Plan D, because that is down the road a little bit. They also had to go a little bit thin on some of the other things, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention that they had to make a tough choice. I can't say that I necessarily agree with cutting Isapole. He was claimed by the New York Jets, which just aggravates me to no end. More for him and his development than it is for anything else. But I wanted him on this roster. He was one of my guys pre-draft. I was really ecstatic the Chiefs had been able to pull that off. And I knew it was a huge risk and very likely that he would get poached, and he did. He's not alone. Cam Jones also was picked up elsewhere by the Jets as well. It just happens to be. And that allows you to do a couple of things in zeroing in on getting ready to play the Los Angeles Chargers and really to try to take an early hold of this division that I am still convinced could be one of the best divisions in football. In fact, I laid that all out with all my AFC West co-hosts. You'll see the AFC West preview special with me and the host of every Locked On show for this division. And I hope you guys will tune in and dig that, because it's a good conversation. And I had to put some guys straight about it's all well and good to have aspirations. Fulfilling them is a whole different thing. You got to have a plan, and the Chiefs have one. It is zeroing in on the Los Angeles Chargers and getting to the point that you can do everything to let Mahomes be Mahomes and be the monster that he is. That's coming up next. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is already heating up, and college football isn't far behind, and now we're on to the regular season. Whether you've got your eye on big-name quarterbacks or breaking running backs, PrizePicks makes it easy for you to get in the game. I'm really excited about not only Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, but what are they going to get out of guys like Xavier Worthy, taking it to the next level. That's where I'm paying attention. If you want to get in the action, download the PrizePicks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL. You'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play at PrizePicks. Run your game. Now, folks, you can always find more information from me at my sites, NFL33.com and RGRfootball.com. Appreciate you very much. Making the most of this in order to attack the division and the Chargers is the key. And Mahomes has not been himself. To put it nicely, they have to let him be him again. And making Mahomes great again is a process, and it involves both the offensive line in providing the protection that he needs and having the weapons that he can go to. It's a little bit about time. I don't think until we really see the Los Angeles Chargers try to attack Patrick Mahomes, whether we're going to feel like he actually has the time to execute the things that he wants to. I think it will be there, but we need to see it. And that's where it comes down to. Zeroing in on the Chargers means that you have a plan with everything else aside, including the Rasheed Rice situation, to go attack them. And I do think that Robert Tonyan is part of that, because I think part of what you want to do is be as multiple as you can to put as many different combinations of skill players out on the field. That is a way that you can maintain a couple of different things that allow you to be the offensive juggernaut that you've been in the past. And those come down to a couple of things. You have to be able to stretch the field. You have that in Xavier Worthy. You have that in Hollywood Brown, and now you have that in Tyquan Thornton. I think he's proven that. He is going to attack downfield. He is going to keep those DBs on their heels and stretch it, and that's going to open up the offense. So long as Patrick Mahomes has the protection in order to execute longer developing plays, longer developing routes until they come open, that's something that has to be the key. And I believe there's opportunity there against the Chargers and their secondary. It's about understanding where the pass rush is coming from. I don't think it's as formidable as it's been in the past, But it is something that you have to keep an eye on, and I think it will be a good test, particularly for Kingsley and Josh Simmons. But that is part of the plan as well, is how to understand what you need to do to let Patrick be Patrick. Because Patrick Mahomes, if he can be him and have 3.5 seconds to throw the ball and have guys that can stretch the field enough where they don't have to have a large separation, but if they have an arm's length separation, he can put the ball in there. And that's what matters. He can come back and he can attack with Travis Kelce. He can attack hopefully with the run game. Now, one of the interesting additions looks to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming back to the roster on the practice squad. We'll look for confirmation of that soon. But that is, I think, enabling this plan even more, because there are other players that you could have gone out and tried to either claim or sign as free agents. They're more about fixing the gaps in the play style that you have in your running back room. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not one of those. He does not solve the speed and the lightning aspect of having somebody who is able to press the corners of the offense to get to the edge in the run game and actually turn it up and attack the second level and the DBs. He is not that guy. But he's got experience in the offense. He'll know everything but the newest wrinkles. He understands where to be. He's a willing pass blocker. I can't say he's the greatest, but he's a willing pass blocker. He will run hard for you at times, and he will fit into this room with Kareem Hunt, who he replaced, and with Isaiah Pacheco, who replaced him. It is a really interesting dynamic that I think the Chiefs are betting on experience and familiarity to get them through and to give another aspect of Rashard Smith a comfort level to grow into. And I do think the more guys that you put in the room that are comfortable in themselves, they'll be comfortable in helping Rashard Smith. And I do think that's going to be important. Maybe not in the first 6 weeks. I'd love to see them accelerate that and try to use him a little bit more, but I do think that's going to maybe an evolution through the season to that point. But I think the familiarity is exactly what you need from the running back spot. It's imperative that you get production out of it, because you have to be uber efficient with your drives. It's not just third down situations. It's not just passing on 2nd and 6. It's making sure that you sustain those drives when you have to sustain them, and that you're able to strike quickly when you have to. And that could be part of the thing here, because zeroing in on the Chargers means that you can thwart their plan. And their plan is very, very clear to me. That is, you have Najee Harris and you have Marion Hampton, and not necessarily in that order. They are going to try to run you over. They have seen your preseason film. They've seen you in the last 2 seasons, and they know the weakness of this defense is against the run. They've made a concerted effort, as has the rest of the AFC West, as well as the Buffalo Bills, in trying to specifically combat the things that the Chiefs do that they're not that good at, and that is defending the run. So Derek Notty's return definitely helps that. It is not a pass rush option for Derek Notty. It is not an all-world breaker. He will stop the run. He needs to pick his game up from last season. There was a reason he was let go, because he didn't perform as well. Now, I think he was playing through an injury all last year. We'll see how he is now. He certainly sounds and appears to be grateful and happy to be back in town. They need him to do that. They need to have enough run stop up front to make sure that you're not stressing too far on both Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquill. Now, Chanel, they call him the Beast for a reason. He can take on a lot of those run blocks and be just fine. His age helps him there. Let's be honest. And his physicality is plain to see. It's protecting the other linebackers against the run that they have to make sure that they make a concerted effort for. And I think part of that also becomes about making sure you're doubling down on how you play your defense. And that is by having Jaden Hicks on the field. We're going to talk more about the actual game plan coming up next week. But the percentage of plays that Jaden is on the field is going to directly affect how well they stop the run. And that's got to be job number one. Now, it is not to disrespect Justin Herbert. They have to definitely keep an eye on him. But if you can slow the run so that they're not just grinding drive after drive on you, so that can keep Patrick Mahomes a little bit more free, so he doesn't have to try to go quick straight. He doesn't have to speed everything up. Although I think he performs better when he's under stress. The offensive line doesn't necessarily, but I think Patrick does. So it is a two-edged sword. And as you have this plan against the Chargers, it is going to be very much about stopping their run threat and making sure that your air threat is everything that it needs to be to keep them scared and keep them backpedaling. That is all lining up to how they are going to go about attacking the Chargers in week 1 without Rasheed Rice. Now, there's still some other things, minutia, that could change here. They could continue to rotate it. As I'm recording this, they still have 2 open spots in terms of their practice squad count. They could sign anybody, elevate them, et cetera, et cetera. You have some veterans on there that you can always bring up, including Mike Edwards, who I think is only in case of emergency. But they've got it to the point that they will have all the weapons that they need. They just have to execute. And it's difficult without Rice. I freely admit that, but it's something that they can do. And I think this has been the plan all along. The plan has come together. And as long as they're focused on the Chargers, they're going to be just fine. I think that this is a game they can go win. The travel and everything, we're going to talk about that next week. It's going to be a challenge, but I think they're going to be okay. I think there's enough experience on this team that they can get through that. And I think the leadership will be able to hone in on it. We're going to hit all the details on that next week. We'll be back with Matt Derrick next week, as we always are. I appreciate you guys hanging in here with me while I'm doing a couple of solo shows. Let us know what you think. I would very much appreciate your comments down below on YouTube. And you can always find us on the audio side as well. Anywhere you can get a podcast, you can get us for free. Anytime, all day long, every day, every week, forever. We appreciate you. I just want to say one last thank you. We are about to embark on our 9th season. My 14th in either writing or media covering this team. It's been a blast. It's about to get a lot more fun. So everybody, have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Make sure you like, sub, and hit that bell. I appreciate you, and we'll talk to you next week.